up in the sideboard, which can be very impactful in this matchup.
Supreme Phantom is going to be the play from Shoopman. Had to make a decision there. He drew Aether Vial on that turn 2. Had to decide whether or not in a matchup like this that Vial would ever be relevant. I feel like once you don't cast it here, it's unlikely to matter.
Right. Especially if you're just curving 2 into 3, and if you're creature light, the Vial's not doing too much for you.
Yeah, you just would have cast them anyway.
Yeah.
Land 4 from Leonard. 5 mana here. Should be able to dump the rest of his hand. The question is, what are the 2 cards? Looks like we will get Gear per Aether Grid.
Now that would be great if not for the Supreme Phantom.
Right. And it's Cranial Plating. He'll pass. So artifact count, we have 4 artifacts in play. So you can shoot for 2.
There's a creature land on top of that.
Yeah.
Adding a 0-mana artifact next turn would give him 3 shots at the Phantom. If Eric produces another Lord here, another Supreme Phantom, that would push him ahead.
Actually, a 1-mana artifact, I think, sends him over the top as well to get rid of the Phantom. He can, because of how the creature lands work.
Yes, yep.
But a second Lord, if Eric has another one here, and this Aether Grid won't be doing very much.
Right. Yeah, Grid is good against a lot of the Spirit stack, but specifically Supreme Phantom, that 3 toughness.
Right.
That matters.
And I think we're going to see a spot where if he's holding up Spell Quellers, you need to quell just about anything out of the Affinity deck.
I believe that the land there for Eric, is that Mutavault? Some kind
That's Mutavault, yeah.
New promo that I missed?
There's the, it's the Grand Prix Mutavault, right?
Huh. It's been a minute since I played a Grand Prix. That's a good promo.
Zero-mana artifact was the draw for Leonard. It was a Ornithopter. It feels bad if you have to Spell Queller an Ornithopter.
I was going to say, Spell Quelling that is probably what you want to do.
Oh, I mean, if you don't,
all your creatures get to die until the end of time, so you may as well do it.
Here's Ornithopter. And Eric, you got to count it up. If you don't Spell Queller this, it's right. So we have 3 artifacts.
Have a Rattle Chains.
We're gonna Spell Queller away the Ornithopter. Yeah, I guess you could counter that 3rd grid activation.
Yeah. Powerful stuff.
Cranial Plating then will equip to Vault Scourge. Leonard will probably could offer this trade, right?
Yeah, there's 4 artifacts naturally, so the Scourge is 5. You can make it a 7 with your creature lands. With lifelink.
Sounds good to me. A swing across here. Currently a 5-1. Eric's still deciding on that block. Because Gear per Aether Grid is in play, changing that Vault, if you block, you kill his Vault Scourge, but he gets an Ornithopter. You're not making very much progress, but it looks like Eric will make the block.
You still stopped Leonard from having 3 activations this turn because the Vault Scourge is now tapped.
Right. Looks like the trade will happen.
And the Ornithopter is worse than the Vault Scourge. So I do like that block.
And Ornithopter will pick up the Cranial Plating.
All right, and this is still a spot where Eric really wants to produce another copy of Supreme Phantom.
Yeah, we had a quick correction on the life totals. Leonard now at 22 life. That one is correct. And for Shoopman, this is a bit of a disaster. He's drawn his 3rd Aether Vial.
Yuck. And he really just needed specifically that Supreme Phantom.
Yeah.
And it can't be a Phantasmal Image for it because Grid just hits that in one shot.
Here is Mutavault activated. Swing for 3. Offering to trade it with the Ornithopter.
Yeah, the Ornithopter is worth half a Grid, which is probably more than the Mutavault, and Leonard's at 22.
Specifically because it is the 3rd grid activation.
Right. And this is a spot where Blue-White Spirit's being punished relative to being a Bant Spirit stack. Imagine if those 3 Aether Vials were 3 collected companies.
Yeah, I would be pretty happy to have them with my 4 lands in play right now.
Yeah.
Now Eric can dodge for one more turn thanks. So his hand is 3 Aether Vials and a Rattle Chains. Leonard's likely to pick up that 3rd grid activation here.
A lot of the deck does it, and the things that don't do it tend to be high impact in their own right. Edge Champion would be a great one. Hey!
And there it is. Okay.
It's kind of like your best draw at every window of the game, so just assume I'm constantly saying that Edge Champion would be good.
I mean, there is a cranial plating in play.
Eric has that Mutavault, so but the Ether Grid covers that as a blocker.
It does, and also, you know, that happened in a previous. I feel Leonard made that mistake last time we had him on camera, and that's the kind of situation where he's going to get a chance to, you know, he'll get
a little
to
shot
learn
at
from
redemption.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll tack into it again.
Right. Well, without 2 good activations, I guess it has to be 3 because of the Phantom. So
right.
That confounds things. Not too much, though.
4 because of the Rattle Chains. But he doesn't know about the 4th one.
Yeah. That one could be a deal. I mean, you probably just go for the Phantom first.
Ornithopter attacks in for 5. Shoopman looks like he's going to trade these Rattle Chains with the Ornithopter. Protecting his life total pretty hard here.
Leonard can tag the Rattle Chains before blockers. He has 4 untapped artifacts currently. It has 2 toughness because of the Phantom.
Right. Yeah, there's 4 artifacts here. He can just, and that's what Leonard's going to do. 1 damage, shooting in, and okay. And if that works,
and the thing about the Rattle Chains, it doesn't matter in the battlefield, so you don't want to trade the Ornithopter for it just because it's worth nothing. You would love to be able to attack into the Supreme Phantom. Eric's not going to make that block, though. So this plating hit's going to come across. We have 3, 4, 5 artifacts in the battlefield. Shoopman's going to drop to 10. And it's going to untap with that hand of 3 Ether Vials.
Yeah, a tough one here for Shoopman because you feel if some of those, if he hadn't had just so many Aether Vials, he may have been able to overcome this. But now it's looking weak.
And here's a little insult to injury. He drew Phantasmal Image. Second Supreme Phantom is great. One that dies to 1 grid activation is terrible.
Right. You can't. I said if he had 3 artifacts, he could copy the Etch Champion, and then.
Well, you know, protection from what?
Aether Grid.
Sure.
Probably. Look, it's the only way to get around it.
He can do that. He can cast 2 Ether Vials.
Oh, wait, he has a way he can get Metalcraft? If he cast these Aether Vials, if he hadn't been holding on to all these useless Aether Vials, he'd have Metalcraft. He could make an Etch Champion here.
He can just cast them now.
He doesn't have enough mana.
He has 4 mana.
Where's the 4 mana?
There's 4 lands.
No, he had to play the image. You only make 2 Aether Vials.
The image becomes an artifact.
Oh, yeah, okay. He can give it Metalcraft, and then it wouldn't be dead to this Aether Grid.
Yeah.
We'd still lose, but you'd show him.
Right. Be some real fancy stuff happening in the arena.
We'd even have an extra artifact in case they shattered one of them.
If you could cast all 3, yeah. Yeah, as it is, it looks like drawing all of those vials is doing Shoopman in.
So the image is copying Supreme Phantom.
Until it takes 1 damage.
Right.
or dies from the activated ability that would deal at 1 damage, that is.
In Blinkmoth Nexus, the draw here from Leonard.
And now you just gotta start going to work on the Lords. There's no reason to try to get in with the Etch Champion because of the Mutavault blocker. Could have made an attack with the Ornithopter, but it doesn't make a huge difference either way. Leonard is firmly in the driver's seat of this game.
Yeah, the Aether Grid has this snowballing effect out of Affinity where when you play in a creature matchup, it either, once it reaches kind of the top of the mountain, then you win with it. But if you don't reach that spot, it doesn't do much.
Right.
And we were real close as to whether or not Leonard would be able to close out with it. But it looks like he's done it.
Either your opponent's creatures have too much toughness and the grid is not worth anything, or it's a Plague Wind that keeps killing the later creatures that show up. When it comes to matchups like this that are flush with 1 toughness creatures, you honestly, when grid is good, you need your opponent to make multiple on-the-table mistakes.
Right.
It is just that impactful in these matchups.
Yeah, I mean, at this point he has 3 damage to throw around every turn. So this Worship, which we mentioned would be excellent in the matchup, Eric Shoopman drew it and cast it here, it's going to actually get overpowered by the Aether Grid.
Cool thing about Worship is you spend 4 mana for it. Sometimes it wins the game, and other times it does absolutely nothing.
Ryan, if we had a metal-crafted Etch Champion and Worship, could we lose anymore?
I don't.
I just
so.
Could Affinity beat that?
Not to my knowledge.
Right, Worship stops poison, right? We can't poison.
Worship does not stop poison.
Okay, so we probably then get infected.
It keeps you above 1 life. Yeah. I like where your head's at, but
we're going for the weird plays.
Know. You are really into this Etch Champion Ether vial.
Look, we got to make these vials do something. And now a bunch of damage being shot. End step, Aether Grid going to work. Shoopman down to 7.
Going upstairs before dealing with the creatures that are making the Worship happen is a little suspect, but you miss a point because, well, you just hit the Phantasm Image down and do 2 points. I think that's where you wanted to be this turn. And then you can untap and have a bunch of activations at the 3. Plenty of artifacts on the battlefield. I think he had lethal this turn, actually.
I want to remove the blockers and swing.
Yeah, because of the Etch Champion Cranial Plating. I don't know if he had to tap too much mana off of that.
Right, so once he gets... Yeah, the thought is that he can win with an Etch Champion attack and then has to remove the creatures.
Right.
The thing is even if he's giving Eric extra turns, there's not much Eric can do with these extra turns.
Yeah. He's assembled a pretty unbeatable combination.
Right. But you're right, I do think this could have been done a bit quicker.
Right. It's a high-pressure match. There's a lot of small things happening, so I get it.
Yeah, top 8 on the line. This is for the 7th spot in top 8. We know the 8th spot is going to come down to a tiebreaker race. Those tables are done. Jody Keith, Will Pulliam, part of this tie. Michael Olson on Jund, currently leading in tiebreaks, but it is too close to call on that one. Either way, we currently will have it. Looks to be 7 different decks in the top 8. 2 copies of Humans. No matter which, there's no Affinity or Blue-White Spirits already in. So
yeah.
We have Mausoleum Wanderer from Eric. And we're going to start casting some of these Aether Vials. Down to 5 here. It was just an attack in for 2 with that Etch Champion.
As long as Leonard starts shooting these creatures down and clears them all,
right,
he has everything he needs to win this game on the table.
Right, he has 3 damage right now, so those 4, we have the 4 artifacts up at the top of the table, Darksteel Citadel's a 5th, and those 2 creature lands one can activate the other to have 6 artifacts, which is 3 points of damage to shoot this turn.
And because this is online with Girapur Aether Grid, which is an enchantment, Eric can't draw out of this with something like Stony Silence. He would need an enchantment removal spell.
Yeah, even under Stony Silence, a player can use Girapur Aether Grid. Because the text is on the Aether Grid, it's not granting the artifacts the ability. It's doing it itself.
Right. There are some draws that could theoretically make things even more awkward. Things like Kira Great Glass Spinner that are in Shoopman's main deck. Though, once Leonard starts going for these creatures, you should close this pretty quickly.
Well, it's a double block. I think Leonard...
I don't know if he's just missing Phantasmal Image's drawback.
He's thinking it's an X4. I think he's thinking both these spirits are X4s and that he can't kill them. Yeah, he's missed the drawback. Otherwise, by this block of Ornithopter, that feels pretty clear. So he's going to block the copied Supreme Phantom. Yeah, and then he's going to try to deal 1 damage to the Wanderer. Okay, it's a tough one to miss. He'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's throwing away Ornithopter, but whatever. It's an Ornithopter.
It trades. There's 1 damage on the Wanderer, so Leonard can shoot it down for that 2nd damage on end step. And meanwhile, Shoopman's just looking at some more Aether Vials. And he'll finish off the Wanderer. That's a 2nd point of damage. And yeah, still tapped. Okay, he's going to go for that 3rd grid activation. Activate a creature land, make a 2nd artifact, shoot upstairs for 1. Good call. Eric down to 4.
And now he'll be untapping with 5 natural artifacts plus those creature lands, so he can just go for this Phantom here.
This should work.
Then he can shove damage, whether it be Ravager for 0 mana, plating, equipping to Etch Champion. Actually, because of the Mutavault, he can't quite make it across the finish line with non-flying creatures.
Could start poisoning him with the Ink Moth. That would eventually work too. There are some options.
Yeah.
Another Ink Moth Nexus, the draw for Leonard.
Even easier to go for that poison victory. I got a lot of admiration for the wherewithal of Eric Shoopman.
Yeah,
he is just so unbelievably dead right now.
How many minutes? I don't think I could stare at that many Aether Vials in my hand for as long as he has without losing my mind.
Especially if I got a long car ride home.
Cranial Plating on to Etch Champion. That'll swing in. So with how Worship works, that means he will go to 1, right?
If he doesn't block with the Mutavault.
Right. Which he doesn't. So he goes to 1.
Please make sure that you have accurate tax information on
Leonard says go. We're gonna. Okay, no, he's got it lined up. He's got 3 artifacts lined up here, Ryan.
All right,
Vial on the Phantom.
Vial to 1.
Please come up to the
Draw another
Second
worship. All right.
Don't underestimate the power of prayer.
Eric just keeps drawing multiple copies of cards that don't do anything.
Yes.
Maybe we can get another Aether Vial. There's still 1 left in the deck.
Right. 4 of a kind's a really good hand.
Okay, says go. End step. We can kill the Phantom. Here's 1 damage to the Phantom. I think we found it. Here's 2. Yep, 4 artifacts. 2 to the Phantom. 3 to it. No more creatures. Untap, shoot with Aether Grid. We're doing it. We found it. Got there.
After searching
going
for
to the
so
top
long.
8. The path was windy, but we made it.
A real sweat there for a minute. That second worship nearly did him in.
Good thing Eric didn't cast it. Do we attack? Do we tap to Aether Grid?
Yeah, whatever.
Which creature do we attack with? This one.
I'll stay at 1.
Fire up the Mutavault. Fire up the Mutavault. Block him. Come on, we got this.
I'll stay at 1. Any other effects? Is it my turn?
Yes. Oh, he's going to go for the block. Wait, Mutavault's going to activate itself.
Yeah.
Sure. Just I don't even know what's happening.
Mutavault is activating to turn on worship.
In response, okay, we're activating worship before damage.
Double shoot that Mutavault.
Triple shoot the Mutavault. Can we do it? And that'll do it. Leonard finds the way in. Affinity, he is our 7th player into the top 8.
The robots looking to do